Welcome back, students. Before I start reading our afternoon book, I wanted to mention that I've heard about a couple of goals from one of you. I heard back from someone whose goal is to practice reading enough so that they can read Magic Treehouse books on their own. And another goal they have has to do with working on their drawing. And they're really enjoying these Willem drawing videos. Willem has put some, who writes piggy and elephant books and pigeon books. He's put some drawing lessons online, so I'm going to put the link down below this video, and I've actually heard from other students who are enjoying that too. Okay, so let's get to our afternoon story, our last folk tale. It's called Finn McCool, the Giant of Knockmany Hill by Tomie dePaola. And if I look on the front, I see big giant Finn McCool. He's so big, wow, it's like he's using a hill for a stool to just sit on. And then on the back, there's some interesting kind of line drawings, a circle with some symbols and patterns, and there's a horse drawn with kind of geometric shapes and lines. There's the title again, with another interesting circular drawing and some spirals. Those would be fun to doodle, actually. And here's the big title page. Finn McCool, the Giant of Knockmany Hill, retold and illustrated by Tomie dePaola. Remember, we said that books like this will say they're retold because they're folk tales. They've been told over and over again through the years, and Tomie dePaola decided to make a book out of it. So this is his version. And here on the title page, you can see a cottage way up on the top of the hill. I wonder if that's his cottage, Finn McCool's cottage. I'm kind of making a connection to Jamie O'Rourke, who had his cottage on the top of a hill too. Okay, here's the first page. Oh my goodness, how lovely. Look, on this page, there are those teeny tiny little people. It looks like there's tiny little leprechauns and tiny little fairies. Wow, and tiny little sheep. And look how small the sheep are compared to those two giants. I wonder if that's his wife. Let's start reading. In olden times, when Ireland's glens and woods were still filled with fairies and leprechauns, giants too lived on that fair emerald isle. Isle means island, right? Because Ireland is an island. One of the finest of those big folk was Finn McCool, who was wed to the lovely great lass Unag. They made their home on the top of Knockmany Hill. Okay, so that's his wife, Unag. Now, as any good giant, Finn McCool had his work to do, so he was often away from home. Lovely Unag didn't seem to mind, for there was plenty to keep her own hands busy, spinning, knitting, and even giving a pretty touch to their great house. So there's Unag doing some spinning with some wool, and it's so cute. You can see the teeny tiny animals. It's like there's their little cat. Isn't that lovely? Life was very pleasant indeed. One morning, when Finn McCool was busy working with his kin is his family, building a causeway to Scotland, the word came that Cuchulainn was coming. Cuchulainn. I wonder what Cuchulainn is. Anyway, here's Finn McCool with his family, other family members, maybe his cousins who are also giants, and they're building a bridge to Scotland. Could they build a bridge like that across the water? Fun story. Ooh, Cuchulainn was a giant too, and without a doubt, the strongest in that part of the world. When he walked, the very earth trembled, and with one blow of his fist, he had flattened a thunderbolt. So it looked like a pancake. He was so proud of that feat that he kept the thunderbolt in his pocket to show all just how strong he was. Every giant in Ireland had been given a good beating by Cuchulainn. Every giant, that is, except Finn McCool, and Cuchulainn swore by the green that he would never rest, day or night, winter or summer, until Finn McCool was added to his list. Oh my gosh, Cuchulainn's like a big giant bully. He goes around beating up other giants. Wow, what a mean guy. So far, Finn had been smart enough. He kept moving about whenever he heard that Cuchulainn was in the neighborhood. But this time, Cuchulainn was sure to get him. So Finn left the causeway and sped off for Knockmany Hill, his house and his darling Unag. Oh, he's running home. "Finn, my love," said Unag, greeting him at the door, "what brings you home so early from your work?" "The chance to see a sight of you, to get a sight of you, my sweet thing," said Finn. Since he was as honest as the summer day is long, he added, "and to keep out of the way of Cuchulainn. He's after me." And it's so neat when you look close up, you can see all the little tiny animals, and there's a tiny little leprechaun too with the sheep. Unag soothed her husband. She brought him his slippers and lit a pipe for him. She stirred up the peat fire so it would be cozy, and then she set down a huge mug of stout and cut a gigantic slab of soda bread for her dearie. "Finn, husband of mine, enough is enough," said Unag as gently as she could. "For years you've been hiking around from one place to another to avoid this Cuchulainn. Why, you even built our house high on this windiest of hills so you'd be able to spy him comin'. You'll not get a moment's rest until you stand fast and face him." "Aye, I'll be getting plenty of rest if I stand fast and he knocks me down. I don't have the heart to face a man who can make a young earthquake just with his walk, and who carries around a flattened thunderbolt in his pocket just to prove his strength." So she's encouraging him to stand up to Cuchulainn, and he's like, "No, he'll just get me." At that, Knockmany Hill gave a little dance. "He's coming," said Finn, his face turning a fine shade of pale green. "Now hush," said Unag, "and give me time to think. Do you worry that I won't do all I can to help you settle this matter once and for all?" And look at his face, it really is a little green. See? Unag then worked a charm the fairies had taught her. She took 9 woolen threads, each a different color, and braided them into 3 braids. She put one around her right arm, one circling her heart, and the third around her right ankle. Now nothing she did could fail. Oh, she's trying to come up with a plan, but she's going to use a little fairy magic to help. Those are like good luck charms. She has one there, on her arm, on her ankle, and on her heart. Next, she sent around to all the neighbors to borrow 1 and 20 iron frying pans. 1 and 20 means 21. She hid them in 1 and 20 loaves of bread that she baked on the fire in the usual way. She set them in the cupboard with some bread she had baked the day before. She then took a pot of milk and made it into a fresh wet cheese, and put it along with some white stones at the foot of the cradle she had made up. "Now, my darling," she said, handing Finn some baby clothes, "put these on and do everything just as I'm about to tell you. And remember," she said at the last, "Cuchulainn's strength lies in the brass finger he has on his right hand. Now, quick into the cradle, because I hear that man mountain at the door." Wait, I've got to stop and think, because I want to be sure I understand what she's done here. It looks like she's baked 21 loaves of bread and put iron pans inside them, and then put them kind of next to regular bread. And then she also made some cheese, like a ball of cheese that looks like these white stones, and she put them next to each other too. That must be part of the trick. And then she also made her husband dress up like a baby and put him in a big crib. I wonder what she's going to do to trick Cuchulainn. "All right, woman," bellowed the giant at the door. "Where's that coward Finn McCool that I've been chasing after all this time?" "Well, well," said Unag with her sweetest smile. Now, isn't that a shame? Finn was off working on the causeway when some important family affair called him away. But he'll be home by tea time, so why don't you just come right in and sit down? Poor Finn trembled in the cradle. He looked so worried. See this? Cucullin said, pulling what looked like a pancake out of his pocket. This was a thunderbolt until I caught it and flattened it, and that's what I'm going to do to Finn McCool too. Tisk, tisk, said Una. That may not be as easy as you think. Finn McCool's a big broth of a man. Why, take a look at our little baby, and you might be getting an idea of the strength and breadth of Finn himself. Cucullin peeked in the cradle. Chirp, said the huge baby, looking back at him. My, said Cucullin, what a big boy! While you're waiting, why not have a bite to eat? Said Una. She put some loaves of bread on the table, along with a can or two of butter and a pile of cabbages. Cucullin, who was as much a glutton as he was a bully. A glutton is somebody who just likes to eat a lot of food really fast. He popped a loaf into his mouth and took a huge bite, right down on one of the frying pans. Clang! Yowl! Shouted Cucullin. What kind of devil's bread is this? Here are two of my teeth out. Oh, that's Finn's bread. They're the only kind he eats, said Una. Is it a bit too tough for you? Too tough for me? Shouted Cucullin. I should say not. Just give me another. Cucullin chomped into another loaf and into another frying pan. Oh, I'll not have a tooth left in the mouth, woman. There's two more out. Cucullin hollered even louder. The baby began to holler too. Hungry, hungry, hungry. Ah, sweet dumpling, said Una, and she handed baby Finn a loaf. And because there was no frying pan in it, Finn ate it right down. More, said the baby, and he gobbled up another loaf. He seems a strong lad, said Cucullin, getting a little worried. If this was the baby, the father must indeed be a bit stronger than Cucullin thought. Ah, yes, said Unag, beaming. Why, instead of dollies, he loves to play with those white stones there in his cradle. Show the nice man, baby dear. Oh, something's up with the white stones. Finn did as he was told. He picked up a stone that was really the cheese and squeezed all the water out of it and popped it into his mouth and ate it down. Cucullin was not to be outdone by a baby. He grabbed a stone and squeezed. He squeezed and squeezed. Squeeze as he might, he couldn't get one drop of water out of it. He popped it into his mouth, and with a chomp, there went the rest of his teeth. The howl that came out of him almost broke all the windows. When he finally calmed down, Cucullin said to Unag, What kind of teeth does that lad have? They must be made of iron. Let me see your choppers, baby. At that, baby Finn opened wide his mouth, and Cucullin stuck in his brass finger, the very brass finger that was the secret of his strength. Oh, look. He's got his brass finger right in baby Finn's mouth. With a strong bite, Finn McCool bit the brass finger right off. Then up Finn leapt and began to pound the daylights out of poor, weak Cucullin. That was that. Oh, and look, while Finn is beating up Cucullin, There's the little leprechauns kind of cheering. That's kind of funny. Out the door went Cuchulainn, never to bother anyone, let alone Finn McCool, again. "Tea's ready, my love," said Unig, and Finn McCool sat down with the best giant wife in the whole world, and they lived a long, happy life. Snip, snap, snap, his tale's told out. Colorín colorado, este cuento se acabado. I hope you enjoyed our story today. Sorry again that it was a day late, but I think we've got our technical problems worked out, and I look forward to seeing you again on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. It's going to get a little cooler, but still, it looks like it's really nice outdoors. So I really miss you guys. Don't forget to wash your hands, cover your coughs and sneezes, help your family around the house, do at least a little writing and a lot of reading. I miss you guys a lot. Love you. Elbow bump.